Okay, so today I want you to make a pattern. So if you remember, a pattern is basically just repeating shapes. And I have some examples here in this picture, right? So the repeating circle pattern here. And even though that, some of these aren't exactly the same shape, they're pretty much the same shape. So you could do something like this. If you wanted to use Pixlr to do something like this, maybe that would be easier. So I don't mind if you use Pixlr, but hopefully you'll be able to use Vectr to make a pattern as well. So that's what I'm going to show you here. It's pretty easy. So I'm just going to delete this. And I am using the old version of Vectr here if you want to use the same version. So if you want to make a pattern, the most easy way to start would be to make a grid on there. And some of you have already found it, I saw. Since this is a square and the grid goes into squares, what you can do is just use the grid. You can use snapping as well, but the grid I think is easiest. Use the grid and just make a bunch of different shapes. So if I wanted to go to more shapes, and let's say I like the cloud shape. So I'll just drag it out, and maybe I want to keep it within this square, even though it looks weird, but I'll do it anyway. Okay, so du- duplicate and just keep repeating that pattern of clouds. See how easily it snaps in there? That's all you have to do. And you can also use Control V, Control C, and Control V. Do it. Sorry, I'm not lining it up very well. And this is going to go off the page a bit, but that's fine. I don't mind that at all. And I'll show you here in a minute what you can do with that. So what I'm going to do here is just select this whole line. You see how I just dragged it out? And now it's all selected. And I'll just copy and paste that line and bring that down. And this isn't, very neat and lined up, but you get the idea, right? So I have my pattern here. Okay. So here I have a pattern of clouds. Now it's not so interesting, but it is a pattern, and I would accept that. But I want you to make a few of those if that's what you're going to do. Now you can alternate shapes too. So for example, let's go back. And let's say I wanted to, do clouds and raindrops or something like that. I'll go back to my more shapes. I'll choose the raindrops, and I'll just basically do the same thing. I have a different color here, and as you can always change the color by going in here. Maybe I want to change that to green instead for some reason. And let's say I like these two, so I'll do the same thing. I'll select those, copy, paste, and just line those up in the grid. So now I'm making a more interesting pattern. Okay. So let's say I don't want to do that. Let's say I want to make a more complex pattern. And this is where your characters that you made come in. So I noticed a lot of you have made Elmo. So I'll put up my own version of that. So I'll upload the image. I think it's on my desktop. And I'll find that Elmo head. Open. And I have my Elmo character here. Now what I'll do is I'll just resize that. So I'll press shift as I resize. And oops, going all over the place here. And I'll put Elmo and we'll square like that. So he's kind of in that square shape, right? And let's say I want to make a few different shapes. So what I'll do is I'll just use a heart and we'll make that maybe purple. And maybe I want a star as well. Make that yellow. And I'll choose one more shape from here. Let's just make an X. And we'll make that a blue. All right, so I'm going to adjust these out. Put these in there. And I'll copy them, paste them. And I'll just put these, in a pattern like this, okay? So same type of thing. I'll just copy and paste to make this a sort of pattern there. So I want you to fool around and make a pattern. And this is for today's, how should I say? It's for today's daily work, but it's also next week's asynchronous assignment. So next Monday, you have an asynchronous assignment. So what you do is you'll, do this today, finish it in, and then on Monday, all you have to do is turn in a picture and you'll be counted present and you will get those points for the day, which will be, either 15 or 20 points. I haven't decided yet, but you'll get the points for today and for Monday. Just make sure that you complete a pattern in some kind of way. If you do a simple pattern, make sure it's more than one because I'm not going to give you all the points if you get, just give me like for example, those first clouds that I showed you. Make sure, you have more than one object in there. Maybe you throw one of your characters in there, something like that. Make a pattern and turn it in on Monday. All right. So I'll be coming around to watch you doing your work today. Turn this in on Monday for the asynchronous assignment so you kind of present and get those points. If you have any questions, please let me know.